Let's talk to Alex Neil. Alex, you've started with a home win, but should it have been more comfortable than it was?
Yeah, I certainly think it should. I think 3-0 at half time. We should have seen the game out, been professional second half, and then tried to pick them off and see if we could add to the scoreline. But unfortunately for us, I thought 60 minutes were excellent, and then once we conceded that first goal, you could see some of the nerves creeping in. And that was disappointing, and I don't think defensively we did well enough on 2 occasions, and it cost us 2 goals. So yeah, it's something we can work on. I think as the game sort of wore on, you could see fatigue creeping in as well, and the players, when they get tired, I thought their decision making let us down at times.
So when you see a performance like that, does that give you a better idea as to perhaps why Norwich aren't higher in the table than they are?
Yeah, I think certainly first 60 minutes, I don't think anybody could argue. I thought we were great. I thought we knocked the ball about really well, looked a real threat going forward, and defensively we were sound as well. And then, like I say, the disappointing thing from my point of view is the fact that we'd been working on that. We'd spoke about it and addressed it and made sure that we were fully aware of the threat that they posed in terms of how they were going to go about trying to get their goals. And we didn't manage to deal with it properly, which is a disappointing thing. But it's only the start. I've only been in 3 days working with the players in terms of training, and if I can get more like the first 60 minutes, then I'll be really pleased.
Is it a mental thing with the players? Because 3-0 up, they looked as if they were cruising, and then they just seem to lose all grip on the game. Yeah,
I think the worry always is a bit of complacency creeps in. And not only that, if the opposition get a goal, then obviously they get their tails up, and their lads are thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't sort of turn, because, well, being at home this season is where some of the poor results have came, because you're in dominating the game a lot of the time, and then the opposition are sort of picking you off and at the other end. So I think the worries earlier in the season sort of creep back into us towards the end of the game, which we need to eradicate. We need to get rid of that sort of fear factor. But as I say, I thought second half, even towards the end, we had a few opportunities where we should have put the game to bed with good breakaways, and our decision making in the final third let us down.
How do you, as a manager, get rid of that fear factor?
By defending properly first and foremost, because if you don't concede that goal, that doesn't creep in, So if we defended properly as we had done in the first half, there wouldn't have been any issues. But they managed to get a goal, and even then I think you've got to be more resilient. You've just got to say, well, put that to bed, we're still 3-1 ahead, and go and play the way we'd been playing. So that's all we need to do.
And looking back on the game, actually that penalty save from John Ruddy feels even more crucial now than it did at the time. Yeah,
but it's a different game at that stage, so if that goes in, then the game would have changed going forward. So you can't really revert back to that, because you're hoping, if that was, because to be honest I didn't think it was a penalty first and foremost, but if it was a penalty, you're hoping that the boys would think, right, we need to get our tails back up and go and try and get another goal.
You talked about the defending, but at the other end of the pitch, Jerome, Hooper, Lafferty, they all scored. You have got some firepower at your disposal, haven't you?
Yeah, but the one thing I'll say, for 60 minutes the defence was excellent. We just switched off on a couple of occasions and it cost us sloppy goals, which is something we need to make sure that doesn't happen again, because defensively you want to keep as many clean sheets as you can, and if you can carry that threat at the top end of the pitch as we do, then you'll be a good force.
And your first experience of Carrow Road, packed house, what was it like being on the touchline?
It was great, excellent, especially in the first half. I was enjoying it, we're scoring goals, but as the game wore on and you get a bit nervous and everybody's sort of desperate to get the points, you just want to make sure you don't make any of the errors that's going to cost your team, and thankfully for us we managed to see the game out.
And then the traditional transfer window question, anything imminent for you in terms of signing players or players leaving?
Not imminent in terms of the next couple of days, no, but we're working as much as we possibly can to see what we can do, and as anything in the transfer window, it generally happens in the last week or a few days.
Thanks for talking to us, Alex. Thank you.